Hey guys, Mike the Alpha Hoarder here. Today might be a bit of a longer video, but I wanted to do a deep dive into authenticating vintage cards. So all of the cards that are on the table right now, except for the ones that are sleeved up there, have something in common, and it's that they are all fake. They are all different kinds of fakes. A nice beta set, some unlimited power, some stuff you wouldn't necessarily expect to find, faked guru lands, fetch lands, some of the more expensive older cards that are I'd call that first tier, I guess, but you know, second tier sort of vintage stuff. Some of these look pretty good, revised. So I wanted to go through some of the things you need to know about how the cards are made so that you can authenticate them. And I do have some more modern stuff here like this, but this video is about the older stuff. I'm a lot less familiar with the modern stuff, so we'll really be talking about alpha, beta, unlimited. But anyway, so everything here is fake except these ones in sleeves, which I'll use for a few comparisons. And then we'll see how much I can get on the camera. It might be a little bit hard to get some of the lenses to show, so I might overlay some pictures if it doesn't look too good. But anyway, the first thing you have to know is how these cards were printed. And for these old cards, what they did is they laid them out in sheets. And so it would be one big sheet, and there'd be a bunch of cards all mapped out. And that sheet would go through a printer, which I believe was a 3-color printer. Each of the 3 colors would be laid down in a grid of dots. And the dots are slightly offset, and this creates the rosette pattern, which I'm sure you're familiar with. Let's see if we can just catch the rosette pattern. And then a separate layer on top of the colors was the black layer. This won't do it. Let's see if I can get in here. And there we go. There's your rosettes. So what you're seeing there is the pattern of the overlapping grids of dots for the 3 different colors that get printed. And then black goes on top of that. The paper stock, the card stock that they used, has a slight texture to it, but no printing is on it. Some of the fakes you'll see have rosettes. And then where the color is actually a little blurry as you zoom in, like I said, the black is a separate layer, and that is going to be razor sharp, which is a particularly good way to work on limited cards. Okay, so there's 2 different kinds of fakes that you're going to run into. One of them is counterfeit. So for example, this is just a counterfeit card. Somebody printed this on their own cardstock with their own printer, and they tried to make it look real. Another example. This is purely aftermarket. A lot of these come out of China. Another example. There's varying quality. I would say these are pretty junky quality. Oops. Yeah, most of them aren't very good, but there's varying quality. And then the other kind of counterfeit is a modified card. So the 2 things you're most likely to run into is somebody takes a real alpha card. They take a real beta card, and they just try to clip the corners to turn it into an alpha card. And then the other thing you hear about is what's called a reback, and that is when an authentic card front and an authentic card back are mixed together to try and turn a collector's edition or an international edition into a beta, or if they then clip the corners further, into an alpha. And so that's what you're up against. You need to identify a counterfeit and a modified card. So I'll start with counterfeits. So I mentioned the rosette pattern. On an authentic card, you can see the rosettes. On an inauthentic card, you will see usually a blurry sort of imitation of the rosette. So you see there is some dot-like texture in there, but it is not a classic rosette. It's like a blurry rosette. Here, let's use, what did I pull? Okay, I pulled an ancestral, so let's just use that. See if we can do this on the camera. Real, fake. I'm not too worried about mixing them up. I mean, just look at it. But for the purposes of demonstration, let's see if we can do this. Okay, authentic card. Obvious rosettes. Card stock has texture. Fake card, no rosettes. Card stock doesn't just have texture, it seems to have printing. And I've seen that a bunch of times. I don't know if that's one particular generation of the fakes, but you see that difference? And I don't think, yeah, there we go. So rosette, no rosette. The black lines I mentioned, it's a real good giveaway on unlimited. Unlimited cards have a black border around them, or you can check the text or the shadow under the writing. But let me see if I can get the black border just because I think they'll both show up at once. Okay, so this one actually has a pretty good black border. A lot of times, oh, let me see if I have one because that's good to show. A lot of times the black border will look like it does in here. You see this black border? Yeah, so if you see this inner black border, a lot of times the outer black border will look like that too. Whereas on an authentic card, it is razor sharp. The writing, once again, the black layer is not rosette. Let's see what we got for this one. Much blurrier, not razor sharp. Also not rosette in this case, but you'll see some where it's got some dots, like it's trying to imitate the rosette. Let me see. I didn't look at all these in advance, so let me see if I can find an example. Well, there's an example where the black has some dots to it. You can see like at that K. Yeah, if you look along, if you follow the K, you can see that it's made up of black dots. And the background isn't really a rosette, it's just a dot grid. That is not right. Let me see, what's this one look like? Same thing here, you've got the black is not razor sharp like it should be. For comparison again, here's the authentic card. Look how crisp the black lines are. And the writing. The other thing you can look for is what's called the green dot test. I don't know if I'll be able to get this on the camera. Inside this green dot, I think I'll need the other lens actually. Inside this green dot is a tiny little L made out of red dots. Let's see if we can get it in here. Bear with me. Okay. I don't know how well you can see that. I'll try to turn the light on this thing. but it is very high resolution and very difficult for somebody to fake that. So if you can zoom in, let's see. Yeah, I don't think I'll be able to get it. That's washing it out now. I'll put a picture over the screen, but there will be a little L made of red dots. I think it's flashing on the screen for a minute. There'll be a little L made of red dots. 1, 2, and then it's either another 2 or 3, I don't remember. You will have a very hard time finding that on fake cards. All right. Now, the card stock, I definitely won't be able to get this on camera. I'll put a picture over it. So the card stock is actually a front and a back with a blue core paper, which you really cannot see unless you're at pretty high resolution. So to low resolution, it should look like a single card. But if you magnify in enough, you will actually see a tiny line. Some of the fakes I've run into, where am I? Some of the fakes I've run into have a very distinct line separating them. Let's go up a little bit more, see if we can actually get it. Sorry, I don't think that's coming out great. But let me see if any of these show it. Sometimes when you look at these, you can see an obvious line down the middle, and that's a giveaway. Yeah, this one looks all right. Yeah, this one's a little funny. So I don't know if you can tell. All right, I'll put a picture up on the screen. I actually had a dispute at one point on eBay where I bought an entire set of power for, I don't know, it was like $17,000 or something. I think the seller actually thought they were real. I don't think he realized, but when I got them, I discovered they weren't, and so I took some close-up pictures for the dispute on eBay. So I'll be overlaying those right now, but you can see the fake I got in that case was obviously 2 cards glued together in a way that does not match an authentic card. A lot of people talk about the light test. I think it's a bit overrated myself. It's very useful for catching rebacks and certain generations of fakes, such as this card, but it does fail in other cases. Now, you're actually going to be able to see it with all the light I have for the camera. Let's see. Okay, yeah, there you go. So, if the correct core paper is in there, this light should be coming through pretty much white. Let me, I didn't grab an Arabian Nights card. Hold on. I don't think this is going to work on camera. that looks red because the phone is red. Well, anyway, what I was about to say, though, is that you actually can't rely on the light test. Because I have found that these all, for instance, and these, the color will come through white. So I actually don't put much stock in the light test. So don't worry, this one is real. So a lot of people talk about the light test, and a lot of people talk about the bend test. I don't really like those two very much as tests. So the bend test is, in theory, you take a fake card and you bend it far enough, it will actually crease. You take a real card, you bend it the same amount, it should straighten back out. I don't think it really does. I don't trust it, and I have problems with the light test. The next best thing to look at is the reflectivity of the card, because the card stock is so difficult to replicate that a lot of these cards just will not look right under reflection. So first of all, the amount of glare you get and the pattern that the light makes. Some cards, like this one, has some streaking. I don't know how easily you guys can see this. I don't know if you can see it at all, but the light makes... oh, that's better on the back. Okay, so there's these sort of vertical lines on this one, and you get a really bright reflection. On an authentic card, it's much more matte. You see that? See how the light diffuses? You don't get the same hard reflections. And you've got this kind of noise pattern. It's going in all directions, not in any particular direction. That is what you're looking for on an authentic card. The reflections and the feeling will be big giveaways. So these cards feel too smooth. They look too shiny. They don't reflect light the right way. Very diffuse. Very bright. The feeling is different. And then the color is just usually terrible. You know, look at the back of this card. Look at the front of this card. Now, you might not have another ancestral to compare to, say, but you can grab, that's why I got this one out. You can compare to any card of the same color and edition. And the differences will just be obvious. That's the wrong blue. That's the wrong back. So I really recommend that you have a card from the same set and of the same color to compare to. All right, now we've got the modified cards. So one of the things people started doing was taking these collector's editions and international editions, which are very cheap, shaving the card in half. Either, I guess you can peel it with a razor blade or you can sand it. This one is actually sanded off. You can see the blue core paper inside. But the idea is you try to get the front half of one of these and the back half of, you know, something worthless, and you slap them together. And then you end up with what is called a rebacked card. Don't think I'm going to be able to capture it on this camera. It's a little too tricky to do it with my hands here. I mean, I can see that. I don't know if you can, but there are two distinct layers obviously smashed together. The process of rebacking a card causes a lot of damage. Look at the warping. This is very unusual. This is not what you would expect from someone that's playing a card. You know, this looks like it was run over with a steamroller. The feeling is going to be wrong. This card is very thick. If you just hold it in your hand and give it a little flex, you'll know something's wrong. And then the other thing you can do is look at the weight. So there is some variance in Magic cards, but I think 1.7 grams is about what you expect. All right, yeah. Be warned, some of the fakes are pretty good, but some of them are not. Is this one? That one's pretty good. Let's see my beta lotus here. Yeah, see. So that's another thing that you can check. Usually a fake card will have more than one of these things that I've talked about. And so you can go through that to sort of figure it out. And then the other thing I mentioned was the clipping the corners. So this card, once it's, sorry, not this card, a beta card. Okay, like a feedback. All right. So a beta card, you could go and try and clip these corners to round them off a bit and then pass it off as an alpha card. You wouldn't do it with feedback, obviously, but now it's important to know that there are some slight differences between the alpha and beta printing, and that's why I pulled out these two. And I'll also note that the International Collector's Edition match the beta. So if you ever see an alpha card that looks like beta, it's either rebacked or it's got clipped corners. So there's a handful of things that are different between the alpha and beta. I don't know all of them, but I would generally just recommend comparing very closely. So one of the common ones has to do with the placement in the casting cost. I think that's close enough. So if you look at the 2 on the beta card, the point in the lower left is touching the enclosing circle. And the water droplet there, the island, it's a little bit left of center. On the alpha card, they're pretty much dead centered. There will also be little differences in the illustration, and the font is pretty subtle, the shadowing around the font. Yeah, you can see it a bit. You see how the alpha font is just a hair thicker, and the shadow is a hair thicker. So another thing you should always do is compare the alpha card that you're getting presented against beta, and just see that there's at least something a little bit different between the two of them. Now, alpha and beta cards have the same rosette pattern and the same black layer that I mentioned in Unlimited, and the same weight. I don't think the corners affect the weight. It's actually been a little while since I weighed one of these, truth be told. Not really. So those corners are maybe 1/100 of a gram. So anyway, hopefully that's a little toolkit you can use when authenticating cards. I've had a couple of transactions where either the person knew and was trying to scam me, or as I said, when I got a power set, they didn't know, and they were very upset when I reported that it was inauthentic. They took the cards back, refunded me, and I think they figured it out eventually. And then the modern cards, like I mentioned in the beginning, this is not my strength. Even once I get to revised, this is not my strength. I'm not the best person to advise on this. It's just a general warning. On these, the back looks terrible. It is just a general warning, though. Some of these look pretty good. All of the ones I have here, the reflections are off. The texture is close, but off. The colors are, in some cases, close. Yeah, it's actually a bit alarming how good they are. These stickers are all raised. I know they're not supposed to be, but I've heard that they're getting better at that too. So just use caution. Buyer beware, always. And this one feels right. You can tell on this one just from the reflection. Yeah, look at that glare. That's not right. But man, this one really passes the test. I would never know. If this was sleeved and I couldn't see the back. So be careful out there. All right, I guess I'll make a thumbnail. Let's see. I'll pretend I got a bunch of black lotuses and some sapphires. Yeah, that's a good one. Hey, some beta cards. Good luck out there. Caveat emptor. Thanks for tuning in. If you liked the content, let me know by inviting me to a steak dinner at Peter Luger's. See you next time.